Hello and welcome to We, Me and Us. We are delighted to have you here as we dive into the exciting journey of leading, coaching and transforming organizations in our rapidly changing world. I'm Pierre Neis, your host and agile coach. I'm truly passionate about sharing real-world insights with those eager to create meaningful change. At We, Me and Us, we're all about exploring new tools and perspectives that inspire impactful transformation. Let's embark on this journey together. Hello, welcome to We, Me and Us podcast. This is your host, Pierre Neis. I'm really happy to have you again here. Today, a special guest, somebody I like a lot. Hello, Duncan Fletcher. How are you doing?
Hi, Pierre. Very well. Very pleased to be here and very pleased to be on your podcast with you.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird exercise. No, it's weird for me. It's very bizarre to speak out like this. How do you feel?
Today I feel good because it's Friday. It's the end of the week, and like we mentioned, it's always nice to be able to talk to you and connect again.
It's a pleasure. Duncan, how can you introduce yourself to the audience, to the whole world?
I can say first of all I'm Duncan. I'm working at Swiss Re. My job's strategy and digital delivery for technology in asset management. I'm passionate about coaching and transforming organizations, and maybe that's where we have some commonality. And I enjoy working at the intersection of technology and people.
That's cool. And what would you like to talk about today with me?
I'm always interested in the next evolution of a high-performing organization. What do they look like going forwards in the future, and what patterns should we be looking to extract to survive in the world as it evolves?
Mm-hmm. I will make a very, very strong, bold, and stupid affirmation with you. And let's see if you can challenge me. See, actually, so you're also an agile coach. So even your title is different, but for me, you're really an agile coach, and you're quite open, and you have the background. And in fact, don't you think in agile organization or transformation, we're focusing more on the non-performing aspects of the organization than on the value creation aspects?
So are we as coaches focusing not on the value adding aspects of transforming organizations,
or on the value creating areas of an organization?
Absolutely. I mean, real business transformation takes place perhaps beyond typically where the easy entry points are around processes. We can tackle ways of working, but as you know, which products are we delivering? What's you mentioned working with HR and finance departments? How are we optimizing the entire organization to be fit for society in the future? Mm-hmm. is a different way of looking at it.
So this was a nice introduction. I try to be politically correct with you, but you know me. This is a way to, are we not focused on the non-productive system of the organization, which is management, and not enough on the productive system, which are the execution and the operation teams.
So does that mean you don't believe there's a role for management?
No, I believe there is a role of management. We're not doing too much because in older times, in the lean part, we had Deming say the purpose of management leadership is the last responsible moment.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very old concept. So because I'm old concept, and even when we are agile coaches friends, that maybe you recognize yourself. You're sitting in Berlin. You call yourself. I'm a last responsible moment coach or a procrastination coach for leaders.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, you have to let them go to more.
So you intervene as a coach at the last responsible moment for the
No,
management or leadership?
you have to block the managers to take
All right.
decision every day. So they take the last responsible moment to take a decision and let the people experimenting and doing the thing.
Okay. So to give space. So actually, essentially, what you're saying is it's all about the leadership of an organization that makes it successful or not.
It is, but I'm thinking mostly on what are we focusing actually, pretty much. If I say we are focused on methodology because we have a couple of methodologies, or let's say I will use agile at scale approach because this will fix the transformation. But in fact, it doesn't. Right? If you have to make here, I will give you here trigger so you can fight back hardly to me. And let's say we have this part, you know, the nice Spotify part.
I am aware of the Spotify
Sure,
model.
you are aware.
Well, it's not a model, but snapshot. Yes.
Yeah. So you're not alone. There's a lot of company doing it. And this is how you reorganize the work by asking managers. Now you have you stop being a line manager, and you have three options. You can focus maybe on the product, or you're focusing on your expertise, or you're focusing on people management. I think great. This is very fantastic approach. The problem is in the execution is not always like this.
Exactly. I mean, this came from autonomy, purpose, and motivation.
Indeed.
And these three areas being looked after. But always in practice, in an organization where we have reporting lines and there's typically one line. So to whom does it go? Whom should it go? And agile organizations, who does it go? I mean, in your experience, who is suitable to be a good reporting line for a team?
Reporting line is interesting. So let's say let's try to follow my logic. If my work is transparent, if we are using a single source of truth, not multiple solution, then for the reporting should be automatized. Because it's directly reporting is just a query in your Jira system or whatever you have, Azure DevOps is a query, or even not just to click a button, you have the reporting. But so I was a people manager. So the idea is I took the challenge to try to be a coach as a people manager. All coaches are right. You cannot be a coach if you have a hierarchical relationship. But we have just founded this large company called Cognizant with 350,000 people. And the people who were reporting to me, they were sitting not in my same project. So the conflict of interest are very, very little. So the idea was the coaching. So for the reporting tools is like coaching activities. You have the person Kanban or person agility board. What do you want to do next? Where do you want to go? What are your challenges? You're coming back the next week. You don't make it 360. You say, oh, this is your board. What are your challenges? You review, you retrospect with your reporting and say, how can I help?
I mean, I love that. And I think that's also a lot of what we've tried out with, we call it the systemic organizational coaching. And we would replace and actually also abolish the traditional concept of reporting lines with coaches and coaching. Nonetheless, we still need to take care of decisions like promotions or various different people aspects. And there, I think you still need a leadership body or a team to look at them.
I would say reporting here typically is the big challenge. Promotion is a big challenge because the whole world, the whole Europe is doing one way and not Germany. Because you have to go through the Workers' Council to have an agreement about the goals you want to expecting for the people on a year. Okay. Which in other countries like Switzerland, we don't care. Do this, you get that. In Germany, so when we had people in Germany, so we remove all the conditions that don't even embark in the promotion part. They have promotion in their career based on some points. Evaluation, which is most like a game, right? Is you want to go the next level. These are the tools or maybe the knowledge you have to gain to get that level, right? And let's go through it. What do you need? And then is how can I help you to get it?
Okay.
And the helping is not from the funding to get the training. No, is go there and then you make really typically coaching with them. So it was one angle. But then you have this kind of rating of activities rating, but this you make it transparently. It's like when you do in agile teams, you make a retrospective, you make a review, or you make an assessment. You come first back to the team. Hey, this is what I see. Do you agree with that?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. It's not finger pointing, and then somebody else behind is changing all the numbers because you're not allowed to have more than 2 people with 5 points for Switzerland, but so all the political games. So here you can't do anything. But for the team member, the reportee, it makes sense. So you try to make it simple.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely. I think there's a lot to unpack in HR, agile HR, managing performance, and how do you look at team performance? We often wanted to have a team performance factor that would outweigh maybe an individual performance factor when it comes to looking at the success of a given team.
Technically, if we are talking about the same agile, and I know we are talking about the same thing, it is mostly the performance of a team, not of an individual.
And as you know, we want to look at the outcomes and not the outputs. So the larger in scope we go, the better.
Oh yeah, and we also know that's the challenge. All right, this is very cool. And how was your experience by introducing this concept at Swiss Re?
So, I had quite a lot of fun because I worked with yourself and so many agile coaches that I learned a lot of different toolboxes and different approaches. And what I really enjoyed the most was handpicking and experimenting with my own. I also really liked Jürgen Appello's analogy when he talks about Lego versus versus these rigid frameworks. So you have a more modular approach. And what my experience with experimenting was there's a lot of value to be had by taking the context of a given situation. Can be transformation, reorganizing teams. It can be as simple as, do we appoint product owners or do we allow them to apply for jobs? So it's always in the how of making a change happen. We did probably the most recent one, which I quite enjoyed, was a leadership survey. So every year we have an employee engagement survey, and typically there are actions that need to be taken out of it. We want to increase engagement, increase alignment. I guess that's quite a normal. But the question is, how do you go about that? And we ran a more personalized leadership survey. So we allowed our organization to really pick the leader by name and give the various different attributes of, were they good at explaining the vision? Did they listen attentively and carefully to ideas? And we had all these different spectrums. And then that data, and it was anonymous, so anyone could really vote towards any leader. And then that was taken back to the leaders to work on with their coach. So experiments like this, and initially I took the Spotify leadership survey, and this was also a great one initially. But as you can imagine, as you evolve over time with more context, you get a bit more courageous with what you can do, and this is where we ended up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a work in progress. It's not one fit to all. It's not simple. For engagement, we are used to use the Gallup Q12. Are you also using this?
I don't think so.
No?
But
So, Gallup, they make this kind of global poll every year about the level of engagement at work. And this is based on their questionnaire. I guess it's Q12 or Q10, something like that. Very simple questions. The questions are very systemic. And you can see, like, do you have a friend in the team? Do you know here? What is from a behavior perspective? Then are you living your high dream? Something like this. Typically on the level of engagement, because yes, engagement this is what we are looking for, right? When if you take the Gallup report every year, I'm crying 2 days when I see the report. When I see French is not getting better, still the level of engagement at work is nearly 5% of people engaged at work.
Yes.
That in Switzerland we have 14% of people engaged at work. Is it what the heck with the others?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. They're still not huge figures, and actually this is something which I think really the corporate rebels looked into a long time ago, and they went on this quest to look around all these different companies to understand which ones really had these different novel approaches. So I mean, that's what's really interesting about this field, right? We're just uncovering new ways and different ways, and engagement is clearly still a topic that resonates with a lot of companies, an area to improve.
You can also take a look about some kind of. They have also poll Gallup on happiness at work, and the countries. I find a correlation between engagement and happiness at work. It's because the cultural system, is built to some kind of happiness. So it's not Finland. But you can see people who are more happy, from Latin America, Philippines, and then when you interact a lot with them, I have a lot of people from there. They understand. I'm just testing my ideas if I'm not completely crazy. And I say, yeah, for us, family is real. It's a real thing. Is together, this togetherness, that we lost a little bit, and this helps to be engaged. So when you build, I would say, go to El Salvador, which mostly the people I work for actually.
Oh, really?
And the level of engagement is 32%. So if I want to build a business, I should go there, not in Luxembourg with 12 or 14% of engagement. So this is back office, not interesting. Operations are more, yeah.
But is engagement enough as well, right? That's like one of the quadrants, right? We still need this mastery or this purpose, and
I will challenge you. I will play with you. I'm provocative. So I say, can we have engagement in asset management?
Asset management is a wonderful place to have highly engaged people because of the market and geopolitical changes that are always happening. It's a place where there's a lot of movement, and also technology-wise, an evolving space. So, yes, I think in asset management you can have engagement.
Yes, and I can challenge you for the record. We're still in March 2025, so you can know the news. And Swiss Re is an insurance company. Well, this is the insurance of the rocket to explode over the Gulf of Mexico.
I do not know.
I believe usually this is one of your customers, but maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it's a competition, but you do also big things, right?
Absolutely. I mean, natural catastrophes, as you said, could be rockets.
So I can understand why it can be very fascinating. So when you have to manage this big amount of these big contracts, so you want to avoid spending money in the wrong way, right?
I mean, it's about the sustainability of society that are exposed to exceptionally large risks, whether it's a nuclear disaster or anything. So I think the purpose is also, that purpose is a very strong purpose, to make society more resilient and to survive natural catastrophes. It makes sense to be insured, and we always talk about the protection gap.
Mm-hmm.
And that often when it could be the wildfires in LA, but there are a set of uninsured people, then we try to reduce that protection gap. And now in asset management, to engage our department, I use that same metaphor to say we want to reduce the technology gap between various different teams and the technology that we've got. So it's
that's fantastic. Yeah, I know I'm playing with you on the asset management, because usually I see why countries like Switzerland, or let's say Luxembourg, or a couple of Western European countries, the level of engagement is so low, because those are all just back offices. The work is done everywhere else, and we're just managing the assets and the risk management. But in fact, just playing with that, I used to have teams long time ago from asset management from the AXA group.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are coming from, usually they came from Hong Kong. I
Mm-hmm.
make a workshop with all the big mistakes. Oh, what can you do to increase the business value? I say, we don't care about business value. Do you have another word? Oh, what can you do to reduce the risk? This rings a bell.
Yes. Risk reduction, make better decisions, less biased decision making.
Yeah.
All these are key.
So how about AI then?
AI, I think the way I see even software development teams I used to work with, really embedded in a software development team, but now and in a Scrum team, I would say. Now
Mm-hmm.
I don't work in such a setup. I'd say we're more a use case driven team, or we're building products off our data platform.
Mm.
And this technology has evolved to the point at which we call this like or actually Gartner coined the term the citizen analyst or the citizen developer. And it means
Oh,
like, Pierre, if you want to build a website today, do you need a software development team and a Scrum team?
no.
Or do you just build it yourself?
Yeah, this is what I'm doing. So you can see my website, and then you can complain. Then you understand why why I should use a development team.
Maybe you do need a software development team. But typically, the demand versus the capabilities is converging.
Yeah.
People are becoming more technologically savvy, but also technology is becoming more accessible. And for that, there's a great time to build products in a different way. So when I interact with the business person who I interact with is the product owner. They are the business analyst.
Mm-hmm.
They are the tester, and they are the developer. And I still remain in the coaching role.
Because you're important.
So you can coach on technology that's available, on different ways of working, and how to build sustainable products themselves.
Yes. Jumping on a coaching part is, if you're a technological coach, you should only be able to ask relevant questions, relevant to technology questions, but you still have to ask questions.
I think that's absolutely. So what's one way of saying is, and maybe a lot of agile coaches need to do this, is if you take yourself out of the equation, so what? Then what? Now what? So what value add can you add as a coach? And for me, with some of these interventions at this point in time, it's just a catalyst for the change that's happening anyway.
Yeah. Or as a guide.
Mm-hmm. Guide, but yeah. Yes.
Because I was never so polite like with you, Duncan. This is what's happening to me. There's a question that usually what agile coaches are not asking. And what is my definition of done as an agile coach? What
Mm-hmm.
means my mission done, which is usually part of the code of ethics of coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can I help you? Are you toxic? Not toxic. Maybe I can't coach you. I can only coach if you ask me to be coached. And this is the relationship. So there's no subordination relationship. And then you ask, what do you want to achieve? Or what, until where can I go as far as possible with you? And usually we want to go, and a customer want to stay forever. The objective of the agile coach is to become obsolete.
I think that's, the objective of typically, of coaching is an intervention of some sort, where you enable some team. Maybe it's you create a high performing team and then you leave, which is actually another point which I was always curious about is, should Scrum Masters be permanent in teams, or do they come create a high performing team are they actually coaching, or are they in the end skin in the game and they've got other responsibilities?
Okay, look at the context of a team. What is the Scrum Master doing? I say, when I'm a Scrum Master, I'm spending less than 10% of my time working with the team. 90% of the time with the product owners, talking with the stakeholders, fixing issues around the team. So the team has the space to experiment, right? Removing all the obstacles, the impediments, usually, and discussion on review the contracts all the time. And the third parties and all this you do all this kind of management stuff. But in a nice way, your coach, you're suggesting like we go with the product owners to the customer and they start to be very angry because they don't understand each other. And you say, stop, can you draw me what you want? Sorry, this is how you bring the thing. I think I'm the United Nations. I'm the blue helmet, we come in peace. Hello. And this is how you bring. That's why in that way, if a Scrum Master is doing this, what happens if you remove the Scrum Master from the equation?
I'm passionate about the Scrum Masters and agile coaching. I wouldn't want to remove them from the equation, but I would think if they look at the whole ecosystem of teams, they work with the stakeholders and the management, and they remove problems outside of the team. They can also work inside the team if there are challenges. But are all teams equally mature, and are all teams the same? And which ones deserve? Does the Scrum Master have the backlog of the highest impediment, and which they try to remove? Are they dynamically reallocating themselves to the right to support the right team?
Yeah. So that's why usually what we're doing more and more, and I believe this is more and more the situation. They gather together. And we have this kind of group or committee of practice, whatever you name it, with the agile coaches, and we are managing the transformation plan. Because usually the point is, what is the value of a Scrum Master? Oh, should we pay for this guy just making coordination? Oh, sorry, we did this 20 years ago. It worked well. And we know now we have to challenge because you just want to cut costs. But here the point is, the value of a Scrum Master and Agile coach was always a big question. And if you have a transformation plan that you own and you're working like a team, then you have the feeling and you care about the alignment of everyone. You can see, you make the impediment bashing session, or you call maybe Scrum of Scrums. When we have this meeting weekly with all the Scrum Masters gathering together and the management, say, hey, this is the impediment we had. Are you able to fix it? I had fixed this here. Oh, thank you. Oh, manager, I'm not able to fix this because it's out of my range, or maybe the counterpart needs maybe you because you have the gallons, right? And I will handle this. And then this impediment transforms into a risk. Allocate to the manager because the risk is under the umbrella of the risk manager. It means is tracked by the board. So we make this on-site weekly escalation meeting or not, or mitigation meetings. And then management has also a role to play.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, we called our leadership team the leadership action team. And assigned them actions every time there were actions or impediments that rose up. And it was, of course, on a Kanban board in sort of lean coffee style. And again, another sort of pattern, but I wonder, as you've coached and worked with so many organizations, how do you, because I found I always end up like handpicking or crafting some sort of means to run or manage our organization. What are the patterns for success which you've noticed across the organizations you've worked in?
These are very stupid patterns. It's really listening to the people. Cope with them, build the trust. It's really at that level.
Yeah.
Because you see, what are the tools? Are barely using always the same tools.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I will have trained 600 people since maybe June last year. We'll end here. Everyone, not only IT, we had support, we had the finance people, the back office, the home managers, the office managers, everyone from the company. They had all the same gaze and same tools. But the problem is, because you're not an instructor, you're an educator as a coach. So every time is a different experience. Because you have to listen, you have to see the interaction between the people, the understanding, and they have to talk, not you have to talk. So you have to listen and draw me how you're working, in what area, how you interacting, draw me all this. How can we do the better? If this were your money, would you like to do this? Oh, no. Oh, how would you like to do it? You know, and sorry, and you came out, very simple things. So we have here an outcome as, we have here a workflow exercise. What are you doing between the demand and the delivery? I got a job to do until what are the steps? And then you have individually, then in your team, then your team's design. Oh, how can you do this better? And then at the end is, by the way, I have the same exercise from the department. This is how it looks like. And they say, oh, shoot. And they say, where is your workflow fit in the department thing? And then we are improving the department thing. In fact, after the whole training, I have the picture of the whole company. I'll make the report in 10 days with all the drawing. Hey, here's the picture of your department. This is how your company look like.
Yes.
This is why your entity in Pristina is working well.
So maybe it was a trick question anyway, because as a coach, you shouldn't give the answers. And what you're saying is you listen to the people and you allow them to find the solutions to the problems in their context. And then you can potentially scale that up.
Yeah, but you guide them. But yes, is the tricky part is the pull system.
The pull system.
Meaning not allocating work, proposing and ensure that the people are self-allocating the work.
So is this, I mean, this also touches maybe on the question of management or leadership or culture. Are we pushing too much work? I mean, maybe that's a pattern which you've observed. I don't know, but typically also we're always trying to look at the cost of doing too many things in parallel.
But in fact, what are we doing?
We're always doing too many things in parallel.
Yeah. If you take a look, I was last year in Cambridge. So they had a problem, traditional issue. The team is not working well. It's not good. The quality is bad. Classic. Then you take a look about the workflows. Obviously, this cannot work. Then you check out, you have 9 teams and say, all 9 teams have daily scope change. How do you want to have engagement, involvement if you change your scope every day?
So why is that? Why is it that you can walk into almost any company, any department, and you can say,
yeah,
you're probably doing too many things at once. That's limiting your progress and costing you. And why is it that so many organizations and so many departments fall into this trap?
Let's be honest. Why are we all doing this?
Yeah, maybe also.
I think I used to do it more 20 years ago. And now because you're coaching people, you're blocking yourself. But I think if I don't have this blocking myself, this little bit discipline in me, because I want to walk the talk, I avoid this, right? But in fact is you have the demand, you jump in the demand, you have another demand, you jump in another demand, and you have companies, we are working, we are professional, no tickets, no services. That's for your customer. This is not internally, come on. And then you train the people that are very smart to understand it. And then Monday they do exactly the opposite. So this is the locked in syndrome. You have the knowledge block in your brain, has to go down in your gut. This is most part of our job as a coach, to let this concept from the brain down to the belly, so you can integrate it. Then you understand, like asking your team member, your subordinates for help.
Yeah.
Right? Feeling
Yeah,
comfortable as a leader. Oh, you're recognized as a leader. Don't overplay the leader. No, everyone knows you're the leader. That's it. Right? And just treat people like adults. You know, it's quite simple, but it's like transparency. It's very hard. Then, but okay, simple in startups. But we are talking. Your company is very large. But we are working, let's say, in company with over 500, 600 people, that large. You have starting corridor conversation. So but you have to make transparent. Then you understand, you can't do the rules. You have to follow the rules. And then you have a challenge on management, challenge of leadership. You have to understand that nobody wants to be a manager. Everyone wants to have the pay of the manager. Nobody wants to be a manager. Then you have to figure out what to do better.
So it's, I mean, I think that's why it's such a passionate space to work in, because the challenges are multifaceted and there's just many different ways to deal with a particular situation, and there's probably no right or wrong, which is why I loved working with all the agile coaches, which we did, and learning different practices and ways, and it's an emerging space. Where do you see this discipline going, or the role of coaching organizations?
Actually, coaching is the new management.
Well, this I 100% subscribe to. Yes.
So it means, and the thing is, in French we say nature hate emptiness. So in English we say give the dog a bone. In a way is, if you say managers, now you have to become coaches. For those who are willing control, you have to give them something else. Because one of the big failures we did 20 years ago is to say, oh, we don't need managers any longer, stop managers, this kind of revolution. We were thinking at low-level teams, not at huge, not when you have think about team of teams, what you have now, right? Nobody was able to think that way. It was, oh, you're insane. This is way too much. We're just small agile, right? But now we are facing this, and you have different challenges. So what are we doing? So people are trying holacracy,
yes,
sociocracy, nice elements, but they're not perfect. So holacracy, which run completely rogue. When you have the teams starting the internal revolution, right? It's human being, right?
And some teams or some companies where they allow them to, like you mentioned, maybe be self startups, and they can even potentially sabotage each other with the products that they build. So to what degree of autonomy and freedom do you give them? Do they self-elect their own leadership or their own subsidiary?
And there's also another aspect we have to take into consideration is all the people who doesn't want to be agile. That's okay too.
And but what does it mean, for them? I mean, that was always I always have a challenge every time you use the word agile, because it's kind of been over connotated in people are somewhat biased to the word. An example, when I first arrived, I said I did an experiment with the product owners and scrum masters, and I asked the simple question: what are your challenges and experiences with agile? And I ran the workshop, and there were answers like, oh, agile has too many meetings, or da 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 da. In the next workshop, I said, just what are your challenges and experiences? I just left the question there. And then it was, the similar things, but not the same. So it was more like, our meetings aren't effective. Well, now that's brilliant, because now we can talk about something which we can make progress on. Whereas in the first one, we're just having a debate around a word. So,
Well, I have a trick I use in some rounds, like say this kind of learning weeks I'm handling with usually executive boards in finance. You know, you come in the shark pool,
yes.
and they're waiting on. Oh, we come to talk with us about agile all the time. It is really annoying. So you have a whiteboard, and we start at 5 minutes. Write on the board all the words you don't want to hear at all during this week together. And then you have agile, Scrum is coming here. Then you say, okay, let's have a deal. All people who mention this word, you have to pay €1 in this box. At the end, we're all going drinking a beer.
And how did that work?
Absolutely, they loved it. It was a good fun about a beer, but the message behind was, I'm not coming to colonize you. I'm not a priest. I'm not coming here to evangelize you. It doesn't matter. Agile is not the goal, it's how we work together. Then at the end, I try to have this 5 days experience with you. This is how we call Agile. How you interact together, how we work together. So then you have a reference point.
Yes. So you define it kind of as a leaving gift. This is what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, sometimes we have to think about to make it things simple, right? And if you like when I have this Agile Animal Farm game when I created, because I was annoyed to explain, and this is the Agile Manifesto, or this is Agile Manufacturing. In fact, we came long time before, and this is beyond budgeting. This is annoying, right? It's a lecture, but we are lab rats. So you have to try out, we can test, and this is really interesting.
But I mean, the education element of this was this, or this happened, or the Beyond Budgeting, Agile Manifesto, and all these other, I still feel that a lot of that could end up, a lot of the experiences that companies have and how to work in a company could end up back in the education and education sector. And I know there has been EduScrum and various other different implementations, but somehow I feel the education sector sets us up to be individually successful. Doesn't always set us up to work well in an agile team, for example.
No, it's complicated. Some people understand it in 5 minutes, and some other needs 2 years or 5 years or never, and that's okay. So the thing is about what is a team. So a team is like a family. In your family, you have the nice people, and you have also the crazy uncle, right? And your lazy cousin, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's lazy, he's stupid, but it's my cousin, right? More like, so this is a team. A team is emergent, in fact. If you come from complex adaptive system theory, which is mostly about the behavior approach, is the team is forming on the go, and you can see the team is forming. Then you create your own family, but you have to share the same purpose, and then we create value. Then you have the Tuckman model: forming, storming, performing. You can use Lencioni to say, okay, what is happening here, but don't fear about conflict. You have to have conflict.
And is the Tuckman model still valid today? I mean, I assume I know, and I've experienced going through various different of those phases, but the idea was, or the assumption is, that a high-performing team is a stable team.
It's a stable, yes, because it's still the same size. Let's say you're married, right?
Mm-hmm. I am, yeah.
It's stable. I know your wife and your kids, but it's stable, right?
Yes.
And I think your wife is Spanish?
Yeah.
You never had a fight?
I mean, Spanish, very vocal.
Yeah, so you had fight, right? So, but the thing is, you're not stand on the fight. So this is the storming part, and that's okay. Usually we want to be the Swiss part, know everything, everyone is nice, and you just go out and you shout out. That's not helping. So that's why we have the retrospective. You can shut up and say, "You asshole, Pierre, I hate you. You behave like, then it's okay. Then sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
then that
sorry.
can bring you closer.
I say, sorry, bad joke, not good. This happened with me all the time. But I can step back because I will meaning it. And this makes a difference.
Because
And
I
then
think the angle that I foresee or see or would want to anyway experiment more with is, I think we know that we can know quite a lot of people, work very closely.
Yeah.
So a department of 30 people or 50 people, you can call it a stable, if you have a stable-ish department, then I feel that you could, create still high-performing teams with the people within that department by changing the teams up or reteaming. I think, and that's why I asked about the Scrum Master earlier. Could the Scrum Master role move around, allocate a bit differently? That's something that I'm curious about, creating more a stable department with reteaming, which gives opportunities for learning and other ways to motivate and excite and cross-skill a department.
That's cool. I love to say we are working, we are using social skills in a business context. I can do the agile I'm doing in a social context is not the same. The agile I'm doing in education is not the same. We're using a couple of same techniques, but the purpose is not the same. In research, it's not completely the same agile. It's still, you will see it, say, yeah, I know this. Oh, you're doing this way. Yes. But to be honest, if I want to have a performing team, they're never silent.
No. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, you need the critical conversations, right? You need conflict, and you need to be challenged.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In my current customer, she told me, "Oh, Pierre, can you explain just one slide on the Tuckman model?" And say, "Why do you want to? They're not Scrum Master. No. They have to understand that conflict is okay. They don't have to fear the conflict. Having a conflict, if it's okay, it's okay. But you have to build on the top of the conflict. So it's not fight for the sake of fight. So you make a fight, you have the forming, then you have the storming because you have to adapt to the context. Then you find the new norms, how to work, and then roll out.
And then the reality happens, someone leaves and someone joins, and then you start again.
If somebody leaves, somebody new is coming, then you have to do it again. Yeah. Duncan, what are the last question for you? Because we're already 47 minutes here. Maybe we have to make it shorter. What would you like to do to change the world?
What would I like to do to change the world? That's a good question. I think I've already, by having kids, hopefully there'll be a long-lasting impact beyond my time. And through them, the world can have a better and positive outcome. And then with my time, my limited time, I want to continue coaching and transforming organizations for the better of society.
That's lovely. So Duncan Fletcher, thank you so much, sir. You were over polite for me. This is way too much. No conflict, anything. I tried to push the borders, not possible. So Duncan, thank you so much for your time. I wish you a lovely weekend and all my best for the family. Take care.
Thank you so much. Likewise, Pierre. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us at We Win Us. We are excited to be on this journey with you as we support your growth as a leader and change maker, helping you build resilient and agile organizations. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd be grateful if you could share it or connect with us on social media. And if you or someone you know has valuable insights to share, please reach out. I'd be thrilled to feature them. Until next time, keep evolving and stay inspired.